Hello, I'm Ali from Ollie and His Superpowers, and this morning I'm having the best of time because we've already been chatting for 5 minutes just to make sure the lights and everything's right, and discussing that we are all actually wearing bras now for the first time.
Except for Keith.
Yes.
Lovely Dawn Avery, and even Keith, you got your bra on, Keith.
No.
The reason that I've asked these two, and they very kindly joined me this morning, is because, you know, I've been having to change what I do. I'm very much face-to-face with clients, and we put a course online called Lockdown to help people through emotionally. And the feedback's been brilliant. You know, it really is helping people, and that makes me happy. But I'm really aware that actually I'm presuming it's what people need. So that's one of the reasons that I want to talk to these guys, and I'll let them introduce themselves in a second and why they're so inspirational to talk to. But also, I am sick and tired of all the news at the moment, because none of it's blooming positive and none of it's about us and what's really going on. And I kind of hope that through doing these interviews, we meet real people, we see what's really going on out there, and the people that are putting that news out there stop and think. So, Dawn, Keith, how's it going in lockdown?
We're suffering.
Yeah, big time.
like I'm sure the rest of the country, but extra difficult with mental health.
Yeah.
Or living with someone with mental health. It's
driving me crazy, Aston. Isn't it?
We love our son. He is, as we spoke about earlier, he's very inspirational. He's come through a long journey, and at the end of that journey, he's realised that helping others is a big part of where he's come from, and that's where his roots are. So we've kind of struggled with the first week was an absolute nightmare.
I was lucky not to work.
Change of routine, everything for these children is not adults. Aston's actually not a child. But the change of routine is really difficult. And Keith was still working in the first week we was off. I'm actually still working, but from home, which has been almost but impossible because, as you quite rightly say, Alison, the news is just dictating everything that these people are thinking. I'm really concerned about the younger children because at least Aston, albeit repetitive, can express what his fears are.
But we're still trying to have a conversation with him, and he's still not getting the full gist, I don't think.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't understand what's going on out there. And
I can come in there because, you know, I think all children are really, really struggling at the moment, and they're struggling with how we react. But I don't think majority of people actually understand how change really, really affects guys like Aston.
Wow. Right. Well, yes, dramatically so. His routine is totally. I mean, part of Aston's issues is we need to keep him active. He goes into a little bubble on his own if we don't keep them activities going. So I'd give you a typical idea of Aston's week, and that would show you what his normal week would be. We'll start with a Monday. He goes off to, he's a radio presenter, local radio. Yeah. He started off just literally doing it as volunteering. He's still volunteering, but now he's a presenter. And he has a show at least 4 days a week. So Monday, he'd go off to radio. Straight from radio, he goes over to La Danse Fantastique, a local dance school. He's there till 8 o'clock. Wow. Tuesdays, and then comes home, we do dinner. By that time, because he's complied with everything that he's doing, by the time he comes in, he's ready to talk, because when he's out, that kind of conversation's not easy for him. You know, he's with people that he's with a lot, and although he's presenting, there's this facade. He's not actually Aston. So by the time he comes in, we've had a day at work, and you get goes on for, but that's Aston. Tuesdays, much the same. Off he goes to radio, goes to dancing of an evening, take him off to dancing. He finishes again at 8 or 8:30. Tuesdays, much the same on a Wednesday. Thursdays, exactly the same routine, but he goes off to singing lessons. Yeah. Straight from radio, we collect him, take him over to Billericay. He does his singing lessons with Maggie. Yeah. Comes home. Fridays is our night off. He's at radio, but our night off consists of we've got to go and shop. So we'd go and do our shopping. Saturdays, 12 till 4 at dancing all day. Sundays at Pineapple all day.
So how's he coping right now? Because I presume he can't do any of that.
And this is the bit,
Really
everything stopped.
Yeah.
Overnight, lockdown, because he's obviously a vulnerable person. We discussed it with the radio. He was there for a little while, but he's pure fear of being out at the moment because of all the scaremongering on the news. That they could see it was visibly affecting Aston, so we pulled him back out, and then one of his carers actually got COVID, so he had to go into isolation anyway. So every day, like, we was twice a day. We've got to do temperature. We've got to, like, I haven't coughed. So everything literally changed overnight, and that is probably that first week.
What's he do now?
I could have cried.
Most of the time in bed now, doesn't he? He won't come out of his room.
So these courses you're on about online, I must be honest, Pineapple and Maggie Patterson, wow. She put a schedule together that has brought a little bit of normality and structure back to a lot of our kids. And for Aston, he's even been doing the children's courses.
So if you could sort of tell people like me that are putting courses out there that we hope are helping, if you could say, this is what we need, what would it be?
It would be structured courses, as in you done, like, so if you're doing this course, how does it, like, 12 o'clock every day, you sit down with Ali, you'd go through like your course of your day, you'd go through your feedback to them to help these kids, because the structure's totally gone out the window. And for someone with autism, structure's what keeps them going from day to day. I also feel, as you've hit on, and I think we've all hit on, is definitely the uncertainty in the news. One day they say this, one day they say that. The not knowing, he's actually feeding off of he's like Wikipedia.
He's counting the days, isn't he?
He's Wikipedia to COVID.
Yeah.
So he will be able to tell us every statistic, how many people have died in what country, how many people are suffering in what country, what their restrictions are, if they're lifting restrictions. And that side of it is because he's uncertain. So he's almost counselling himself. And I know that's where you come from.
He had a little pop at me yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah.
Four Arsenal players are supposed to be out training in a park. And it's like, now, because I'm an Arsenal supporter, it's my fault that...
So Dad's been told off for being an Arsenal fan.
I heard of that wonderful sport called rugby.
And it's different for mums and dads. So I'm really glad that Keith agreed to join in with this, because I see things from a different perspective. So I'm mum, I'm protective, I'm trying to put things back in and make him trying to make him understand a bit, but in a soft way, whereas Dad's more direct. And so confrontation.
But it don't work.
So I'm sure a lot of these parents are having the confrontation with one parent to the child. With us, often it's Keith and Aston. So something there where you can, if you could give something to these kids to help them understand, and to even bring mum and dad into that fold of mum and dad helping them understand. Like, well, if Dad's saying this, it's because for them to see other perspectives.
It's a major problem, and I can't begin to imagine how much worse it affects someone like Aston and you guys having to cope with that. But I know myself that for the first couple of weeks I was listening to every news broadcast, and it depressed me. And I'm a therapist, that's not supposed to happen. Get a life, I'm real. And I stopped listening to the news because we're not hearing anything positive. And my dream right now would be that somebody watches this interview that is involved in the news, and here's what we're blimmin' saying. We're not stupid. We know this isn't good. We know what we need to do. But can we have some positive news? All I've heard is how many people are dying. What about how many people are making it through? How about not frightening the hell out of our kids? I mean,
yeah. Because
Ali, that alone, I totally respected everything you've said, because at the moment, this negativity, we've actually spent our entire life.
We had a conversation again yesterday, wasn't it? When I said exactly the same thing. look, how many people have died, how many people have got it. It's all statistics, all percentages. And when you actually narrowed it down, it's still a lot, but it ain't
nothing like what it's
tremendous.
perceived.
It's the way it's been presented,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, I don't work for papers. I don't need to try and sell a paper but I just think,
wouldn't it be nice to pick something up positive?
No, this isn't good, and we will follow the rules because we're all grown-ups. But for goodness sakes, and you know, I've had people say, "Well, don't listen to the news." Well, that's easy for me, but if you're really, really scared and you need that structure and you need to know what's going on, you're gonna listen. And as you say, Aston's not a child. It's not like you can keep him away from the news.
No, not at all. He comes down at 5 o'clock every night. TV. We don't see him. He'll stay in his room best part of the day. We have to coax him out until it gets to 5 o'clock. And then you've got that speech. And he's there on the button, 5 o'clock, in front of that TV. He'll pick up the iPad, but all he's doing is he's researching all of the statistics.
And it's because when they say 3 weeks lockdown, he thinks it's 3 weeks. When they say it's another 3 weeks,
it's
lockdown,
confusing him so badly.
They don't understand.
So we've spent, as you know, by knowing us as a family, we've spent our entire life lifting Aston's self-esteem and giving him positivity. Since lockdown, that's totally gone out. We're reverting back to the depressive side. I can see if it wasn't for Maggie Patterson and Blooming Pineapple and these courses, we would have by now, I'd have probably been seeking help for all three of us.
How can people find out about Maggie Patterson and her courses? Because in Cambridge, I'm involved with lots of sane groups, and they're going to have the same.
Maggie's group, actually, I mean, locally, La Danse Fantastique is where Aston dances, but they've been trying to bring bits in, but they've not been able to create these online dance classes or singing classes or drum. They've not done that yet. But Maggie's at Pineapple Studios, so that's Pineapple Performing Arts, PPAS. I on my Facebook page and on Aston's and on the teams, we're sharing it. So she'll give you a Zoom login and you can join up. She's doing weekend, like he done a 3 hours class the other day. For 3 hours, he was constantly down here, moving about, doing something.
You know what we need? We don't like the news, and to be honest, even if one of them listens to this, which I doubt, they're not going to change what they do because they think they know what we want. Obviously, they don't. We should have our own blooming news channel, and it should be specific to what we do really want, and it should include things like how to access that dance class and how to help other classes that are useful get online, because not everybody has the kit. So, one more thing. I mean, bless you, and I knew that this would go this way and it would be about Aston because of who you two are. But how are you guys doing? How's this affecting you? I mean,
I think because of how it's affecting Aston, it's having a more detrimental effect on us. So I'm actually still working from home.
Well, I'm just getting up as normal, like I would be as if I was going to work and trying to motivate myself in doing things. Although I'm doing a lot around the house, it's just
I'm loving that.
I'm still working. You know what I mean? To keep your sort of mind active and
that's exactly. I know we're hitting back on Aston, but even hitting back on ourselves, that structure.
Yeah.
So that's how we're surviving, is keeping our own structure. So I'm still getting up as I'm going to work. Admittedly, might only be to swap off on, but I'm still in the office. My office sometimes sunny day, maybe out in the garden, but I'm still working. So I'm trying to keep that structure. It gets to a certain time, I switch off and I'm ready, right, let's prepare dinner, let's do this. I do think in some aspects, and I don't know whether this is, the only positive I've taken from it is that we've spent much more family time together. We've done the odd quiz. We've played a couple of board games. We've tried to introduce things that we haven't done for a long time. But we need to do that to get him out of the room. But in doing that, it's been quite nice in that aspect.
Did you actually get much time to just be you two?
Not really. No, but I mean that's a choice we've made. We've made that that was a family choice that we made a long time ago, because we made that choice to not see our son go down the route that many others had. We've always been positive people, And I think that's probably causing Aston more issues than anything at the moment, because we can't give him a positive.
No.
Because, as you say, we're not hearing any positive. So we're having to almost build our own, aren't we? We're having to find our own positives in it. So, you know, I've actually found his old Sky Electrics. Well, you know, let's clear this out. Let's get the Sky Electrics out.
I've got one of those, actually.
And that's exactly it. So I think we're trying to find them positives, but wow, it's never been so difficult than it is right now, because we're struggling to find that. So for people, anybody, I don't think mental health.
Just get up and go to work, and that's it. Like with him now, he's not doing the radio and all that. We've got to still try and, as I said,
we've got to stimulate
he's
him.
up in his room, isn't he? Yeah. We've got to try and like getting him going, and we're thinking. So now we've got to think, how can we get him going?
It is really difficult. So I think online courses, online structure, something, you know, so the courses you're offering, can you tell me a little bit about, say Aston came to you and I said, Ali, I could really do with Aston having some sort of structure, learning something different or feeling different. What could your course offer Aston?
The course that I put out at the moment is aimed at families, and it's a generic, although nothing I do is generic, because you know me, I can't help it. I kind of, and it's about accepting what you feel, and that it's okay, whether or not you're having a good day or a bad day. That's perfectly okay. How and it is how to deal with that uncertainty. What can you control? What can't you? And I think the key message in the course at the moment is what can you control? What can't you? So that you're not doing that, and we're all doing it. I can only imagine how it's affecting Aston. It's affecting me. It's about recognizing what your emotions are. So it's a really lovely course for adults and children, because it helps you have that language to speak to them and to separate. I'm not angry. I'm not scared. It's a part of me, and that you can deal with that part and empower that part. So making yourself feel better. But this is brilliant. This is exactly what I wanted, because talking to you, I'm thinking, would it be structured enough for someone like Aston, and would it give him what it needs? And the answer is no. And I wonder how many people like me are putting courses out there. And all right, it wasn't aimed at Aston, it is actually aimed at families. So it's probably aimed at you two more, to keep you two going so that you can be all you need to be for your boy. And in that respect, I think I've got it right from the feedback we've had. But it would be really lovely to carry on this conversation almost offline. What would it need? Because I want to do it. I can't tell you. Somebody said to me the other day, this very rarely happens, when you, and you two do the same, because I know how much work you do for other people. No one ever says, how are you doing? Because you're always smiling. You two are, I am. But you know, it's tough, and we're all struggling, and nobody ever says, how are you doing? And it just makes you stand back and think, well, actually, I'm not doing good either. So what do I need? And just by looking at what I need, that's where the course came from. I need to feel a bit more in control. I need to accept it's okay to feel whatever I'm feeling right now. I need to find ways to deal with being locked down with my partner. I mean, you two seem lovely, but you know, there must be, because I know there is.
We've had the odd. Yeah. We're a couple, yeah. So
yeah, you have your ups and downs, isn't it?
He's not quite painted the shed.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, no, it'd be really lovely. And I'm doing a few more interviews, as I said, with different groups of people, and to actually come up with something that's actually needed and dedicated as best it could be. So I'd love to chat after this. And
definitely, I think I can understand why your course is hitting at the families, and probably more predominantly the parents, because in all situations with anyone on mental health, like in that mental health sector, the parents are such a key part to that person's well-being. So I totally understand where you come from on that.
It's the parents and it's the siblings. Obviously, the course isn't just aimed at people with kids with additional needs. It's across the board, because. And this is something people don't realise either. And again, you know me, I just say it as it is, and if I offend, I offend, and I hope I don't. But I'm not an expert in autism, Asperger's, anything like that. But the families that I am working with, I'm predominantly working with the siblings and mum and dad, because they kind of get forgotten about.
Totally, yeah.
And without you guys being who you are, and families that have got siblings that maybe aren't autistic or have Asperger's or whatever else, they kind of get forgotten about, and that's going to come back and bite. And that's
totally true.
Yeah.
The unsung heroes in all of this are the siblings, and I can't tell you how. And honestly, hitting back on what you said, we've not learned anything about autism that we haven't lived. So we live it, we don't learn it.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'd never ever say to anybody, look, do this because that works, because that worked for us, but not necessarily may not work for Joe or Peter or Anne, but it worked for us. So we can only give our point of view to some of these parents and say to them, look, this is what we done, and that actually helped, and this is why we done it. And with Aston being much more vocal now and talking about why he banged his head, why he bit through 2 cots, and you know, because he's now more open about how he felt and what he done, it's made what we do with other parents and the chats I have with other parents and you have a lot more easier, because we've lived that with him.
We just give our
but we would never say, much like yourself, and I don't think anyone could honestly say that they're experts in autism, because every single person is different. Every person's got their own personality, their own peace of mind, their actions are different. So it's completely impossible to say you're an expert. So I think you've hit on it really well to come out with that as you have.
How do we get you two in red shirts? Because one of the first things I preach is that nobody fits in a blooming box, and I don't know what label you've got.
That's totally true. There is no, you know, when we go into the schools, Aston goes into the school, he'll show his film, he'll talk about, this is me, this is where I started. We do a little bit of chat. I don't know if you've seen the film, Ali, we'll maybe send you that privately. Then at the end, we always hang about. Aston will do a Q&A, but a lot of people, and that's why I do get why your courses are for the parents and family, they will come and want to talk to us. They'll want to ask us, well, you know, when he was doing that, what did you do? So I do see that there's obviously a real big need for what you're doing. And siblings, I'll hit back on that. Yeah. Aaron, Aston's brother, absolute role model, absolute beautiful, gentle giant. Love him to bits. But it does come back and bite. And we spent all them years away from, I did personally. I was drawn from him because of spending the time with Aston, hospital stays, different things going on as there were. We've got an absolute brilliant relationship, but I know for many years Aaron was made to grow up so quickly, and he's a dad himself now, and I look and I think, some things is he doing because of, I look at certain things he does and certain actions, and he's openly said to us that he's actually struggled more so since having his daughter because of his background. So had you have been about 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, I was.
You weren't with us. We weren't sharing, you know. But had you have been there, would Aaron's perception now be different? Because them things don't, you know, as a dad, them things could come back to haunt him. Would you be looking at his daughter differently and think, you know?
Tough one, isn't it? But can I thank you, because you just made me feel better, because as you know, I only kind of got involved in anything to do with autism and Asperger's a while ago, and I seriously don't know anything. But my thing is, stick to what you know, and what I know is people. That doesn't mean I know how they work or tick. We don't give advice, and I don't ever pretend to understand what someone's going through. But it just made me feel better, because the course I had put out is for you guys to put your oxygen mask on first, and the siblings. And, you know, I'd like Aston to have a look at it and tell me what he thinks. He'll probably rip it to bits, and that's okay. But,
be ready for the, you know. Does my bum look big in this? Yes, Mum, it does.
He would tell it straight, wouldn't he?
Can I just thank you both? It's been really insightful, and your energy, and I know how much work you do for your family and lots of other families. You are unsung heroes, and there's hundreds of them out there. And tonight at 8 o'clock, you're going to get my clap. That came out wrong, but you know what I mean. Can I thank you for your time? Stay safe. Love to Aston.
Yeah,
and we'll speak soon.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care.